I remember sitting there thinking, I messed this up. Not kinda, like this was my fault. And in this business, one mistake can really follow you for years and set you back 3 to 5 years as an artist manager for your clients. So as we break down this episode of From the Manager's Chair and I welcome you back in, and I appreciate all the likes, all the comments, all the love you guys been showing. Just make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, turn your notifications on. Let me know what questions you might have. And as we break down this episode, talk about the biggest mistake I made in the music industry. The overall theme is really going to be surrounding around distribution companies for artists. And it's meant to be informational a little bit and also kind of share my stories about how I messed up and how you can avoid these mess ups moving forward for your artist as you're a young manager in the game. And distribution companies, for those that don't know, are a place where you can upload your music and they can be distributed to Apple, Spotify, Amazon, all the different platforms for you. So, taking you back, I had a meeting with my artist 6, 7 years ago when we first started out, and we were sitting at the table, and we had a viral song at the time, had 20 million views in 2 weeks, tons of pre-saves, and pre-saves, for those that don't know, are fans and followers that can save your song to their platform, so when it comes out, it pops up first, and they don't have to go find it once it comes out on that date. And we had tens of thousands of pre-saves, like I said, millions of views, and we were looking for a distribution company that would be able to help us get playlisting. Because playlisting is very important for visibility, for streaming, for revenue, for touring. If you want to get publishing deals one day, if you want to get record deals one day, you want to be visible to all these different platforms. So we were trying to find the best company. And at the time, my artist knew a guy that was at a bigger company. And this company had this super fast talking guy that was like, we're going to get you on all these playlists. We're going to get you invited to award shows. We're going to get you your face on all the cover of these playlists. And at the time, I was a young manager. I was still kind of skeptical because I've been in the industry long enough to understand like when someone's kind of BSing you, they tend to talk fast and say they can do all these crazy things for you, and it's not necessarily true. So as I sat back, I was sitting there thinking like, not sure. But my artist was so adamant about doing this deal. He wanted to do this deal. He felt like this was going to take his career to the next step. And it was almost convincing me too, between both of them talking. I was like, I guess, I had a little pit in my stomach, but there's a lot of red flags that popped up. But I was like, I'm going to trust my artist. We've gotten together this far. Why not give it a shot? And in hindsight, it was the biggest mistake we could have made. As the weeks went on, they weren't pitching us to all these platforms, and I knew that from behind the scenes because people at Spotify and Apple were like, "Hey, we've never heard of your artist," and if they were pitching, they would have heard about him. Which means I knew on the day of release we weren't going to get playlists. Which means there's going to be no visibility extra. There's going to be no extra money coming in. There's going to be no extra tour supports because of this massive viral song. It was only going to be viral based on what we did, and we were giving this company 20% of whatever we made on this song. That's a lot of money. It can add up quickly. So basically, it was a cash grab for them. And as time went on, I was getting more and more frustrated because something like this can set an artist back because they're going to get less monthly listeners because there are going to be less listeners, less streams. And it could hurt our record deals. It could hurt our publishing deals. It could hurt our touring. It could hurt our overall pockets. We're losing tons of money by giving them 20% and also not getting more streams from this. So we were getting very low level playlists that anyone like a DistroKid can get you. So we really didn't need them. And I was getting super frustrated. The artists getting super frustrated, and a lot of times these artists don't recall a conversation that went on back then when you were kind of pushing against it. And they were kind of like, why didn't you tell me you were against this? And I'm like, well, we kind of did. We talked about it, but I was trusting you. But at the time, I was a young manager. I didn't want to push back too much because being in the industry, you learn that a lot of artists want yes managers. They want whatever they want goes. They think they're way above you. They don't want to look at it as a partnership. They want to look at it as you work for them. So you kind of have to sit back and kind of watch from a sideline sometimes and not push back too hard because you're afraid of, oh, they might fire me and get a new manager. Especially when you're young, you're first starting out, you don't want to mess up. You're almost playing it safe. Where sometimes playing it safe isn't always the best choice. And early on, I played in my career, I played it safe. A lot of what I did was, whatever they wanted, I just kind of went with. Even if against my judgment, I was like, hey, we shouldn't go with this company. We should go with this company, or we should do this or that. I just kind of went with it because you don't want to lose your shot. You know, you a lot of times as a young manager, you only get one or two shots at this. And I felt like this was my shot to get my name out there to really help this artist break through. I believed in the artist, I trusted the artist. We were also friends, so it made things difficult. And at the time, this company was really frustrating. It was causing a rift between a lot of people. You know, I was arguing with the company. Company was calling the artist, telling him I was saying all these things that were not true. They were going behind my back. There's a lot of backstabbing going on. The artist was like, "Hey, why are you saying these things?" I'm like, "I'm not saying these things. Let's all jump on a call. Let's make it mutual. Let's figure out a way to fix this problem so we can all be happy." So we jumped on a call with everybody. We ironed out all the issues, all the problems. We finally sat down and came to an agreement that after the song, we were going to no longer be with this company because we felt they didn't prove enough to us that we should trust them going forward. And we already made a mistake with this song where it could have been even more viral, could have been even more of a mega hit, and could have put us in rooms that we were not in, but we made a mistake. And it could have set us back 3 years, 5 years, who knows? Like, are we a one hit wonder? You start wondering those things like, hey, is this a one hit wonder? Can we replicate this kind of success on social media? Luckily, my background in social media, I was able to help maneuver the situation. And he was a hard worker and very talented. So we were able to maneuver the situation and move the catalog thanks to connections to another company that was able to help put us on playlists that we could not have dreamed of being in. They put us in meetings that we weren't previously in. We got to go visit, you know, the headquarters of all these different places. We got to be the cover on playlists. He got to be the face of a lot of big playlists on Spotify. And we were able to overcome that mistake with other songs. But we had to work. This took, it sounds like a fast story, but this took maybe 6 months to a year to overcome. Like this was like a 3 to 4 month struggle of, wow, did we just mess up the biggest hit song we could have had? I mean, this song had 100,000 almost first day streams across all platforms. That's considered a hit song, especially for an independent company spending no money on marketing, having no playlist, no label, no distribution company really at that point, even though we quote unquote had one. And it was a struggle. So, first recommendation I will have is if your gut tells you something's not right, be adamant about it. Tell your artist, hey, I don't feel comfortable about this. I don't think we should move forward with this company. I think here are the other options. And make sure you give them options. Don't just say you don't like something. I think that's a lot of mistake that a lot of managers make with artists is they just say they don't like something and they don't really give them an option of a plan A or plan B. They just kind of say, hey, I don't want to do this. And that's when there can be kind of a rift and kind of a frustration because the artist is like, well, if you don't like it, what else should you do? Make sure you have an answer because they're going to ask you that question and they're going to push back and they're going to be like, well, this is the best option we got. So what else are we gonna do? I don't want to just do a normal company like DistroKid or something like that. I want to do like a major. So you make sure you have other options in your back pocket and have the relationship to maneuver. And that can be tough. I understand that, making the connection to do that. But ask other managers that you know in the industry. Go meet people. Go ask, like, hey, what distribution companies are they using? You can also look on the bottom of a lot of these guys' Spotify's and Apple Music, where it'll tell you like who they're distributing to. Even if it says their own company, typically you can kind of figure out who they're distroing through. You can kind of look on a quick Google search. You know, look up anybody. Who are they distributing to? It'll probably tell you. It'll say Universal, Sony, Orchard, Command Ship, Media, DistroKid, whatever. It'll tell you who they're distroing through. So do your research, understand what you're getting yourself into and stuff like that. Now, luckily, like I said, I was able to overcome this mistake. We were able to overcome this mistake. We ended up moving his entire catalog from one distro company to another distro company, which doing that is tricky. Make sure you understand when you're doing that, you're taking the songs down for a sec and putting them back up. You don't lose your streaming, but it can mess up your algorithm on these websites like Spotify and Apple. It's almost like you're quote unquote deleting it off the algorithm for a second. So if you were getting streamed in the algorithm or the so-called radio station that they have on these platforms, but these are also ways that you can get streaming besides playlists and just organically. They have these radio algorithm playlists where if they see it getting picked up and you're doing 30,000 streams a month on this song through the algorithm, they'll keep pushing it. But when you take these songs down and move them to another platform for distro, you're taking it out of the algorithm. So now you almost have to rebuild that up and start over. And by us doing that, it was another mistake we made. We should have kept it on that platform regardless, like that hit song. We should have kept it on a bad platform, even if we weren't getting playlisted, because they're so good in the algorithm where we were getting 30, 40,000 streams a month regardless. And if, by moving it over to the other platform, we were not doing that anymore. We were getting 15,000, 10,000 streams. So we almost dropped 50% by moving it and taking it off the algorithm. So now we weren't playlisted and we weren't in the algorithm. That's mistake number 2. Understand when you move the different distribution companies and move songs, what can happen to the algorithm. And that goes for if you're going to go sign with a record deal and they take over your songs and they move your songs from this platform over to Universal or Sony or Warner, any of those platforms, you're out of the algorithm because labels don't use the algorithm because you don't make as much money on per stream. They don't like it because they're losing money on it. So now your monthly listeners are going to go down. So if you had 1 million monthly listeners, you're going to drop probably about 30%. You'll probably drop to like 700,000 monthlies. And for artists, that can be mind-boggling and mind-tricking. They're like, oh my God, I actually don't have all these fans, or, am I going to get dropped by my label? Am I going to get shelved? So make sure you understand these things and talk with your team about how these algorithmic streaming works and the money that you can lose. So fast forward, we switch over to this new platform. They set meetings with us weekly. It's already different. They set meetings with us monthly. They got us in rooms, like I said, with all the different distro companies. They got us in rooms with all the social media companies. We got to go to TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, all this because they believed in us. So that's the next thing, is find a company that really believes in you and not believes in you because of numbers and because of how much money they're going to make with you. They understand the long-term process, the long-term game. And they understand that by them working hard, they're going to keep you there. And if they work hard, maybe you don't need the label because they're helping you with ads, they're helping you with touring, they're helping you book rights. Good distribution companies will help you do all these things inside of the system. They'll help you with influencer campaigns. They'll help you with digital ads for your song, pre-save campaigns, all these different things they'll help you with if they really believe in you. And that's on top of the playlist and all that kind of stuff. And pitching your songs and putting you on tour. So make sure you understand all these things when it comes to distribution companies, because a lot of them are out for the cash grab. They understand you're doing millions of monthlies and millions of streams, and they can make 20% of that and just sit back and do nothing and have you on a contract, which leads you to contract. Understand what you're signing. Most distribution companies that are not the CD babies and distro kids, they sign you to a contract. So if you sign with The Orchard, Vidya, 1RPM, they're all going to sign you to contracts. And it could be one project, it could be 3 years, it could be 3 projects, it could be a one song deal. Make sure you understand what type of deal you're entering into and if they own those songs. Because let's say a label comes by and like, hey, we want to sign you. They can't take those songs unless you get an agreement from that other distro company to sell those to the label. Because you technically don't own 100% of those songs. You might own 80, you might own 50, you might own 90. But make sure you understand what you're signing when you sign those deals. Now, there's a company called Command Shift out there that does not sign you to any deal. It's month to month, so you can leave whenever you want. They still collect 20% of whatever you're making on your songs. But if you want to pick up and take your catalog elsewhere, you can take it whenever you want. You can say, hey, peace. Thank you for all your help. I appreciate all the love that you've given me, but I want to leave and I want to move off, stuff like that. So, like, even though you're quote unquote independent, when you sign with the distribution companies, you're really not an independent artist. You're independent in the fact that they're not giving you money. Even though some of these companies do give you money, you're really independent's a loose term. A truly independent artist is on DistroKid, CD Baby, TuneCore, one of those different companies for you where you own 100% of your music. You're paying to put it on this platform. They don't really pitch you. They do some work to help you as you grow, but you're 100% independent. You own 100% of your catalog. Some of these other companies, you don't own 100% of your catalog. And that's what truly makes an artist independent, is owning 100% of your catalog. And with this episode, as we wrap this up, I want to bring up the main points of where you can spot these mistakes. So the first thing you need to look at is, do you trust the people you're going to work with? Are they fast talking? Are they telling you they can do all these crazy, insane goal things for you? Or are they speaking logically? Find the guy that speaks logically and believes in you. Or gal. Just find someone that speaks logic and clearly and has the same vision as you for your career. The next thing you need to look at is the contract. Is it month to month? Is it yearly? Is it project based? Is it song based? Is it how many albums you have to put out? How many songs are on those albums you got to put out? Can you leave if a bigger label comes? If they don't do what they say, can you get out of the contract? So make sure you have your lawyer look over it. Make sure you have your team look over it, your managers look over it, the artists look over it. Make sure everybody's happy with the deal before you sign, because you're not truly independent once you sign with your distribution company. And lastly, the third mistake you can make is when you move to other distribution companies, make sure you understand the algorithm changes. The song drops off the algorithm and you lose streams, which means you lose revenue and you lose monthly listeners on all these platforms. Make sure you really, really understand that and understand why your numbers are dropping. And don't be like, oh, I need to post more to overcome this. They're not correlated in this instance, right? Typically, if you post more and you get more views, it correlates to more streams. But in this instance, it's all about algorithm and getting more streams. More people listen to your songs on these platforms through the radio systems, and you get paid less, but your numbers go up. So you're not making the same amount per stream as you typically would for a normal organic stream or on a playlist stream. And I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about distribution companies, which companies you think are my favorite. Ask me, if I went too fast through this mistakes. Let me know, like, if there's anything else you want me to go dive deeper into and talk about the actual meetings themselves, the deal structures themselves, how to get these relationships to begin with. Let me know what you want to hear. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell so notifications are on the next episodes. As we get to the next week's episode next Wednesday, we're going to be breaking down even more different mistakes that are made. We're going to talk about streaming overall. We're going to talk about labels. We're going to talk about publishers. We're going to talk about how to find the right manager, what artists you should be looking at on all these platforms. Really break it down. And as I leave you here today, because we're entering this next week of Grammy week, we're going to talk about the Grammys. For all of you that don't know, the Grammys are fixed. It's not the best song. It's not the best artist that's going to win all these awards. The Grammys are fixed by these labels, and these labels are going to kill me for saying this, but they are. They take turns. They buy each other out of each year, so Universal might win one year, all the artists are going to win. EMG might win one year, all the artists are going to win. Warner, Sony, etc. They rotate who wins. Very rarely do you see a mixture of all different labels. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be 100% Universal or 100% Warner. It might be 90-10 or 80-20, but the majority is going to go to one label because they take turns, because it helps that label put on position for the next year of, oh, I got to sign with that label if I want to win a Grammy. I got to sign with that label if I want to win any type of awards or go to these typical shows or go on these tours to get visibility. But make sure you understand that these Grammys are fixed. It is not best song, best album, best overall marketing plan or scheme to get this. It's a trade-off between the labels. They trade like, oh, 1 year this, 1 year that. And if you go back through all the old award shows, you understand that I'm right. And it doesn't just go for the Grammys. It goes for the CMAs. It goes for the Hip Hop Awards, all the different shows. It's the same thing across the board. So if you think I'm lying, go back and look at the last year's CMAs. Go look at the last year's Grammys. You'll see it's very strategic on how they do these things. And I'm not saying it's all bad, but take it for entertainment value. Don't take it and get mad about, oh, that song should have won, or that album should have got best album, or best artist of the year. Make sure you understand there's stuff going behind the scenes that it's all politics. Life's politics, not just, in the political sphere, or sports are politics, music politics, movies are politics. There's all this stuff that goes on behind the scenes. So make sure you really understand that as we go into Grammy week. Don't get too frustrated if your favorite artist didn't win the award, or if your artist is up, congratulations. But don't get frustrated if your artist doesn't win. At the end of the day, it's great to be nominated and you get put in the upper echelon of artists, but don't get mad. It's just an entertainment value show. They have cool hosts that are going to give comedic responses to everything, and you have crazy shows out there where all the artists will come perform and play your favorite songs, and just put it on, sit back and enjoy, but don't stress. Don't get mad. At the end of the day, if you're an artist and you're not on it, don't worry, you're still a great artist. If you're an artist that's on it and don't win, don't worry, you're still a good artist. If you win, congratulations. You won. It's your year. Celebrate it. Enjoy it with your loved ones. Enjoy it with your fans and your followers and all that kind of stuff. And life moves on. Everyone's going to get up the next day, and no one's going to think about the Grammys the next day. So with that, I'll leave you for the next episode. Thank you for watching from the manager's chair. Again, hit that subscribe button. I appreciate all you guys' support. It's been great over the last couple of weeks of me starting this channel. I didn't really know how it was going to go. And we're going to continue on down the road. We're going to keep posting every Wednesday, and we'll see you on the next episode. Peace.